10 countries with the most powerful mafias around the world. Albanian Mafia. The Albanian Mafia is a human trafficking gang from Albania that serves as the main antagonist from the 2008 film Taken and its 2012 sequel Taken 2. They operate throughout Europe, kidnapping and selling women for prostitution. According to CIA Mafia information, the Albanians offer jobs to women from emerging European countries, drugging them and turning them into prostitutes. However, they had expanded their territory to France and decided to consider kidnapping traveling young women. La Cosa Nostra. The Cosa Nostra, better known as the Mob or the Mafia, evolved from the Sicilian Mafia and is one of America's most serious organized criminal threats. These crime families or groups, which are generally geographically organized and engage in racketeering activity, are linked by blood ties or through conspiracy. They also engage in a wide range of illegal activities, such as murder, extortion, drug trafficking, official public corruption, gambling, infiltration of legitimate businesses, labor racketeering, loan sharking, prostitution, pornography, tax fraud schemes, and stock manipulation. Despite its origins in Italian organized crime, Cosa Nostra has operated as a separate entity for many years. Today, it continues to collaborate in criminal activities with criminal groups based in Italy. Mara Salvatrucha, United States. Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, is an international gang that engages in illegal drug and human smuggling, prostitution, murder, and extortion. It was founded in the 1980s in Los Angeles by Salvadoran immigrants and later spread throughout the United States, Central America, and Canada, gaining a reputation for extreme violence. The gang's origins can be traced back to the 1970s in El Salvador, when the country was on the verge of civil war between government's forces and the insurgent group Farabundo Marti National Liberation Front, FMLN, which claimed to represent Salvadorans in the lowest social and economic tiers. The bloody conflict displaced approximately 900,000 people, thousands of whom fled to the United States and settled in predominantly Hispanic areas of southern Los Angeles. Most of these Los Angeles neighborhoods were already infested with powerful Mexican gangs that preyed on weaker cultural groups. Despite a steady increase in membership, aided by immigration from Guatemala and Nicaragua, Mara Salvatrucha struggled against rival gangs. To strengthen its position, it formed an alliance with the Mexican Mafia, a powerful gang based in Los Angeles in the early 1990s. In the years since, Mara Salvatrucha has grown into one of the most powerful yet loosely structured gangs in the Northern Hemisphere, known for its brutality. Its motto was kill, rape, and control. Triad China. The triads can be backtracked to secret societies founded in China 2,000 years ago to defeat warlords. Interviews and on-the-street fieldwork are used to piece together their activities and the nature of their organization, which is difficult for Western police to penetrate. Some of the societies are well-known community organizations. However, many have developed criminal subgroups, and in some Western European cities, nearly all of the triads involved in prostitution, illegal gambling, extortion, and heroin. The Golden Triangle, the mountainous country on the borders of Laos, Burma, North Vietnam, and Thailand, grows a major portion of the world's raw opium. Until well into the 1970s, Western police officials did not realize the extent of the heroin traffic or its organization. The hard drug trade was thought to be controlled by the Mafia, but Mafia members get their supplies from triad brokers, who control their distribution channels. Chinese colonies in London and Amsterdam are important distribution terminals, even more so in Amsterdam because Dutch laws are very light. Japanese Yakuza. The Yakuza began with two distinct groups of outcasts during the Tokugawa shogunate. The Tekiya were the first of these three groups, wandering the peddlers who traveled from village to village selling low-quality goods at festivals and markets. Many Tekiya belonged to the Burakumin social class, a group of outcasts or non-humans that existed beneath Japan's four-tiered feudal social structure. The Tekiya began to organize themselves into close-knit groups under the leadership of bosses and underbosses in the early 1700s. 1700s. With the help of fugitives from the upper classes, the Tekia began to engage in typically organized crime activities, such as turf wars and protection rackets. Between 1735 and 1749, the shogun's government attempted to quell gang wars and reduce the amount of fraud perpetrated by Tekia by appointing oyubun, or officially sanctioned bosses. The oyubun could use a surname and carry a sword. The bakuto, or gamblers, were the second group that gave rise to the Yakuza. Gambling was strictly prohibited during the Tokugawa era and is still illegal in Japan today. Nevertheless, the bakugo hit the highways, duping unsuspected victims with dice or hanafuda card games. They frequently wore colorful tattoos all over their bodies, which inspired modern-day Yakuza to practice full-body tattooing. The bakudo naturally expanded from their core business as gamblers into loan sharking and other illegal activities. Mexican Mafia. In California, the Mexican Mafia, or La M, is at the top of a Hispanic organized crime hierarchy that includes prison and street gangs. According to most accounts, Luis Uero Buff Flores founded La M in 1957. Flores was incarcerated at the Dual Vocational Institution, DVI, in Tracy, California at the time. Flores and other founding members formed La M as a gang of gangs to protect Hispanics within the California prison system from other gangs. La M grew quickly in size and strength. To break up gang activity at DVI, the California Department of Corrections moved MA members to other prisons, such as San Quentin in the 1960s. This effort helped La M's influence spread to other prisons. As La M grew, leaders saw the potential for profit from drug sales, gambling, and extortion rackets inside prison. So they imposed taxes on these activities, forcing Latino inmates to give the gang a small percentage of profits. La M took this approach to the streets in the 1980s and began to control activities such as drug trafficking, extortion, contract killings, and debt collection from within prison, and after joining forces with East Los Angeles street gang leaders. As prisons became more racially divided, rival race-based criminal organizations such as the Black Guerrilla Family and the Aryan Brotherhood emerged in the California prison system. In the face of this opposition, La M thrived and even became more organized, drafting gang rules or commandments and recruiting members from Latino street gangs in Southern California. The Mexican Mafia wielded unrivaled power in California prisons and streets until the 1990s, when a concerted effort of police raids and subsequent federal indictments were launched to stymie the gang's machine. 5 Families, New York City. Since 1931, the Italian-American Mafia in New York has been led by 5 families: the Bonanno, Colombo, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese. Frank Cali was said to be the head of the Gambino crime family. He allegedly married Rosalia Inzerio, a descendant of the Sicilian Inzerio family. After losing a war with rival families, the Inzeroli fled to the United States in the 1980s. Cali was also related to John Gambino, the former leader of the family's Sicilian faction, which could explain his rapid rise to mob leadership. The exact number of family members is unknown. However, the FBI estimates that there are approximately 3,000 members and affiliates of Italian-American organized crime groups in the United States. The families were once enormously powerful, wielding influence over federal and state politicians and owning stakes in the entertainment industry, but US authorities have gradually cracked down on organized crime. In the 1980s and 1990s, major convictions and defections crippled their leadership. Former Gambino boss John Gotti, who planned his predecessor's murder outside the Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan in 1985, was known as the Dapper Don for his expensive suits and flamboyant press interviews. The family made hundreds of millions of dollars per year during his tenure. SOLNCEVSKAYA Brotherhood, Russia. Sergei Mikhailov is the man behind the formation of the Solntsevskaya Bratstva, also known as the Solntsevskoye Brotherhood. Mikas, as he's known, worked as a waiter in various Moscow restaurants, but the pay was insufficient for his liking, so he turned to crime. Mikas was apprehended in 1984 and charged with fraud and theft. He was sentenced to 6 months in the Gulag, a harsh prison labor camp. The Gulag was established during Joseph Stalin's dictatorship of the Soviet Union. The prison labor camps were overcrowded, and prisoners spent most of their days working. According to history, many died of exhaustion, starvation, and contagious diseases if they were not executed. While there, Sergei met members of Russian gangs and mafias, and these contacts helped helped him establish the Solnceevskaya Bratva. As a result, Sergey had a notorious reputation by the time he was released from prison due to the contacts he made while serving time. Sinaloa Cartel, Mexico. The Sinaloa Cartel is an international criminal organization and one of the world's most powerful drug trafficking syndicates. Its headquarters are in Culiacan, Sinaloa State, Mexico. Its roots can be traced back to the Guadalajara Cartel, one of Mexico's most powerful crime syndicates in the early 1980s. However, US and Mexican forces cracked down on the syndicate after the cartel was implicated in the torture and murder of a US drug enforcement agent in 1985. By the decade's end, it had split into several groups, one based in Sinaloa. At the time, the Colombian cartel's power was dwindling, in part due to the deaths of various drug lords, most notably Pablo Escobar, died 1993, and the United States crackdown on drug trafficking in the Caribbean, which was then the preferred route for bringing drugs into the United States. As Mexico's popularity as a drug route grew, so did the strength of its criminal organizations, particularly the Sinaloa Cartel, which benefited from Guzman's innovative smuggling methods, particularly through tunnels, and his extensive use of bribes. He remained a key figure in the cartel despite being arrested and sentenced to more than 20 years in prison in 1993. 'Ndrangheta, Italy. The 'Ndrangheta has surpassed Sicily's famous Cosa Nostra to become Italy's most powerful organized crime group, and one of the world's largest. Although Italy's 'Ndrangheta crime syndicate has been around since the late 18th century, the group recently made global headlines when it took center stage in the world's largest mafia trial in decades. According to the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, more than half of their revenue comes from Europe's cocaine trade, which they're thought to control more than 80% of. Along with narcotics, the crime network is known for several criminal scenes involving millions of dollars in money laundering and tax evasion, fraud, extortion, high-level corruption, and human and weapon trafficking worldwide. This is it for today, but subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and press the icon to never miss any updates. If you like today's content, remember to hit the like and share button. Thank you for watching.